In today's video, I am going to be breaking down 5 unstoppable basketball offensive plays. Let's get down, let's check these out really quickly. What I want to say is if you want also an unbeatable defense, make sure to go check out the Unbeatable Basketball Defense book down in the description below. Okay, so this play could be ran on either side of the court, but just for argument's sake, we're going to start it on this left side. So what we are going to do is to have player 4 set a pin down screen for player 3. Player 3 is going to be using that screen, and then player 1 is going to be passing him the ball. After that screen, we're going to be having player 4 roll out, and then we're going to have player 5 set a back screen on player 1, and player 1 is going to be then cutting towards the rim. If he's open, hit him up with that pass, he should have an open layup. If he doesn't, let's say he was to get that ball and there was some help defense coming down, he can kick it out for some threes. Those are fantastic options. Those players could also cut back door towards the rim too. Those are also options as well. If, for example, player 1 was not to get that ball, what we would then have is player 1 setting that screen away for player 2. Player 5 is going to be clearing, and now that back screen on player 2, we're going to have player 2 cut towards that rim, and now if he's open, you can then hit him up with a pass for a layup. If all else fails, we can then essentially run a 5-out. I always like to run a 5-out as a last-ditch attempt to get at least some kind of a basket going, and then these players would be able to spread out nice and easily, and we can do a nice simple pass and screen 4-5 out. That can, of course, potentially open up more layups for us. And if you wanted to grab that 5-out complete guide book that I have, make sure to go check out the link down in the description too. Now, a 5-out play that is actually very good that you could run, that in my opinion is pretty well unstoppable, is let's say we were to pass that ball to this wing. At this time, we would have player 5 set a pin down screen for player 3. We would have player 1 set up a staggered screen with player 5 so that player 3 can run off that double screen or that staggered screen for player 4 to pass to him for that open 3-point shot. Now, really quickly, what I want you guys to also teach your players is to read the defense. Because if this defender is going underneath the screens because he knows that that's going to be a staggered screen, that needs to be a 3-point shot. However, if this defender instead is going to go over top of the screens to chase player 3, then what player 3 could do is to cut in early, basically rubbing shoulders with player 1 and cutting in early because that could open up a layup for him as well. This is just a simple play where essentially it is a staggered 5-out screen away play. All it is pass, screen, screen, 3. And we could even set up, after that pass, that staggered screen that we're setting up, where player 3 is using that screen, we could even, while this is setting up, have, at the same time, a dribble handoff with player 2, so that now player 2 may be wide open for a 3 himself, player 3 may be open for a 3 himself, and we may have a hedge or something and player 4 could be rolling towards the basket. Altogether, we could have 1 option, 2 option, 3 option, so many different options that are available to us as a team. Now, if you're going up against a zone defense, you could set up very similar to this, where if we're going up against a 2-3 zone, and this is a pretty much unstoppable play in a way, because what we can have is player 5 come towards this elbow and player 1 can set that pass into him. This would bring up player 5 in a 2-3 zone. After that pass, what we can do now is to have a screen on this side of player 4, no matter where he is, even if he's playing a bit deeper, we can have that screen where we can then have player 3 either wide open, we can have that kick out pass to player 3 for a 3-point shot, or we could even have player 4 set a screen up top, player 2 could be open at the free throw line extended, or while we're setting up what's sort of like a screen on this side, I really want player 1's back instead towards player 4, because we could easily just set up a screen on this side too for that 3. However, I want to make it look like we're screening so that player 4 stays close to player 1 so that 3 is open. That's the reason why we want to act like we're screening. However, if there's no options, player 1, if he's big enough, then he can actually turn around, get his butt into player 4, and that could be just a high to low pass for a nice easy layup. Now, if you're finding that you're going up against a lot of 3-2 zones, this is an unstoppable play when it comes to a 2-3 or a 3-2 zone. So this is our 4th play that I'm talking about today, and what we are going to have is player 3 is going to be moving down if we call for player 5 to screen on this side. If instead player 5 and 4 are on opposites and player 5 is on this side, that's when player 2 would move down. So let's say for argument's sake, player 5 is on this side, so player 2 would then move down. That would then bring player 5 up to set that screen for player 1. Player 1 is going to be attacking wherever this player is. We want this player's attention to be on player 1. Player 1 is going to attack. That's going to bring up player 3. Player 5 is going to roll towards the basket. We want a quick pass. We want a short roll. And that way player 5 could take that shot, but this is going to be really collapsing these two players. If player 5 stays down and brings player 4 up, we can have a backdoor cut by player 2. We could even have an open 3 by player 2. If this brings up both players 4 and 5, we can then have player 5 pass to player 4 for a layup. And remember, we only have so much time in here, so if nothing is open, we could even have player 4 set a screen up, player 3 moves down, and we can have a kick out for a 3, for a 3 right there. And if you're running a horns offense, which is that first play I showed you, and you're going up against a zone defense, let's say, for example, a 3-2 zone, this is actually a very, very good play to run. So we're going to have player 5 and 4 set a screen on player 1. At this time, we're going to be mostly having players 2 and 3 really moving up. This is very important. Player 1 can decide which side he wants to go on. Let's say for argument's sake he goes towards that left side. We're going to have player 5 roll towards the basket and player 4 pop for a 3. At this time, if player 5 is open, hit him with a pass, he may have an open shot. If you're not going to hit him with a pass, let's say player 1 followed him down, you'll have a 3-point shot for player 4. If player 1 passes to player 5, and let's say he doesn't have a shot because that collapsed these two players, then players 3 and 2 better be cutting baseline, or if they're good 3-point shooters, they can be sitting out there for 3-point shots. Now, none of these plays work effective at all against my unbeatable 1-4 zone defense. Make sure to go check that out down in the description below. I'm actually running it with my team this year, and I think that we're going to do extremely well. Anyways, I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.